Hi, this is Elizabeth from the Toy Hoarder. Today I have a Trixie mod to show you guys, and also some of her accessories that you will see in the movie Toy Story That Time Forgot. This was probably the most intensive project of the entire live-action Toy Story That Time Forgot filming project. They did not make, as far as I know, a movie-sized Trixie, so I had to completely mod a Trixie and make lots of other things for her. So I'll talk about the simple things first. This is just a piece of yellow construction paper. I got some red and orange crayon and scribble drew the images on here. It took me a couple tries to make sure I got this folded just right, but these are the Goblin Fairy wings that then get taped to her back for the scene where she is the Goblin Fairy. And I know you guys can't see, hold on. There you go. So that, whoops, is about what that looks like for that scene. So this was super simple. I cut out the front of the glasses, I cut out two sides of the glasses, and then I just bent the very end here. I bent the very end here and taped it on for both of them, and then had to very carefully transport that. But then these glasses sit on her, not as well since I added the horns, but then the glasses go on her, and that was for the cafe scene. There was also a purple loofah that we used for the wig. This wand was, again, a very simple thing. I took a straw, a regular plastic drinking straw, and I stretched it all the way out. And then I took a piece of green construction paper and I rolled the straw in through the green construction paper, kind of at a diagonal. Then I taped it all together, painted these little spots on it, cut out a yellow construction paper star, taped that onto the straw, and I've got this rubber band on the end. The rubber band doesn't really stay on the end. This does get rubber banded to her foot when she is the Goblin Fairy later, so that kind of goes with the wings over there. All right, Trixie herself, this is what you guys really came for, and there is so much to say about her. All right, so I'm gonna give you guys a good spin around. Sorry, she's got a little hair on her. All right, anyway, I'm gonna give you guys a good spin around of how this turned out. I'm actually pretty happy with her. I think the stripes are maybe a little bit darker than I wanted them to be, but it was too late by the time I had painted that. And there's a piece of tape right here, which I'll tell you about in just a second. So then there's the bottom of her, and she does have Bonnie written on her foot there. Okay, guys, so much intensity on this. We taped on an earring for the scene where she is at the cafe with her son, Mr. Potato Head. Okay, I initially started out with a Jim Henson dinosaur toy. This toy was from Dinosaur Train. It's called Tank the Triceratops and was an interactive toy that actually talked to some of the other dinosaurs from the same show and from the same toy line. It was made in 2010, and while it is an electronic toy, I was able to get one super cheap because the electronics inside of him were broken. That was, of course, not an issue for me because I needed to be Trixie, so the voice was not going to be the same. It was also a male dinosaur, so the voice and phrases were not going to be the same, and I really didn't need to use that. So super awesome, super cheap. Cost me 99 cents plus shipping, so $7 or $8, and I was ready to make my Trixie mod. Here we go. I really love the size of her. She is just perfect for a movie size thing, and then she does have the posability within her legs. So the first thing we had to do was get off all the paint. So I told you that she had blue stripes on her. She also had some blue across here that was darker blue than this. Several different blue areas that weren't supposed to be dark blue. They were supposed to be purple, or they were not supposed to exist at all. So got a whole bunch of isopropyl alcohol and soaked her in a bin for a while. And guys, for a while, I mean several days, and there was a lot of scraping and there was a lot of scrubbing, and we tried a toothbrush, and it was a time with the alcohol, guys. It helped a little bit to get some of the paint off, but this paint was on so thick everywhere that it was quite ridiculous. And we had to get a ton of paint off this front of this frill where it was designed with extra, I think, white and blue, and it was a disaster. It was definitely one of the longest parts of this entire filming project, was just getting the paint off of her. Good news is, underneath, she's this blue color, which was perfect for Trixie. So that was ideal. I didn't at least have to paint all of that extra blue on, but then she still needed some modifications. I guess he at the time had horns at each of these points, so I had Dustin help me Dremel all of those off. I painted underneath her, that became white, and I painted the toenails as well. And then I painted all the stripes on and painted some extra little purple shadows and shading and lines into here. I wrote Bonnie on the foot. Oh, this is actually hot glue over these little holes. And then I tried to kind of smooth it out some and then paint over it so that way I could still write Bonnie on the toes and then paint in these bottom toenails as well. I painted these sides of the frills, which I was going to paint another coat, but I actually kind of like that it looks kind of beat up and chipped and you can almost see through it, which was kind of the idea that we needed to see. Then I took some clay and added in teeth. I had to paint the whole inside of the mouth because it was red. And I added the ridges around these horns and the horns. And then, of course, painted them sort of an off-white color and then added in some of this blue to make it look like the paint had chipped off, as it does in the movie. Now for this part, this was a little bit trickier, and I don't know how well you guys can see it. There we go. This is actually a dab of hot glue, and then I took a little craft knife and made the little circle in the center and all these little hashed lines, and then of course painted it with the blue. I think it turned out pretty cool. I actually like how it turned out. I wasn't sure if that was gonna work out well or not. Now I know Trixie's eyes are actually supposed to be a little smaller for the film accuracy, but if I had painted her eyes in any smaller than this, as far as the white part, it would have looked really strange with how the mold was for her head. The same thing with the reason that I couldn't get this ridge over her eyebrow, which also would have been very difficult to get the clay to stick. I'm sad a little bit about her toenails. It almost looks like she's got 4 toenails here because of how this plastic is split. And I'll show you, I guess, a back leg so that you don't have the shadow. Okay, you're still gonna have some of the shadow, sorry. But it almost looks like the 4 toenails instead of the 3, and she does have pointed toenails, so I know this is like super picky and specific, but I'm all for movie accuracy, but I could not figure out how to make these toes without the clay just falling off or breaking, especially if I was going to play with it and be, you know, clacking it on the table and that sort of thing. So I opted to not do the toenails, unfortunately, but I did definitely do the teeth and the horns, and you can see I already broke the horns a couple of times. They cracked and broke. I accidentally dropped her right on her face during filming, and you should have seen my complete panic breakdown, you guys. Anyway, glued them back in, and I should probably touch up with paint again after I have done that, but oh, it was a time. I'm happy with how Trixie turned out, and I'm definitely keeping her to play with. All right, hope you guys enjoyed what you saw today. If you did, please hit that subscribe button down below, and feel free to leave a like or a comment as well. Let me know if you guys have made a Trixie mod. I would love to see it. We are on social media. Oh, do be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the actual live action Toy Story That Time Forgot when we do post it. We may post it in pieces, I'm not really sure yet, but I definitely want to get some of these videos of these toy mods up close and things so that you guys can see these before we post the actual video. So very big project, but if you don't want to miss it, be sure to hit that subscribe and go check out my channel for plenty more toy reviews in the meantime. Until next time, have a great time playing. Bye.